Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the workshop follow-on meeting from last year's meeting, which was held on March 20th, 2025. I don't know that we really need to introduce board members, as I don't believe we have anybody zooming in, do we?
I don't have anybody else on here.
Okay. And no guests. This is being recorded. Was that somebody or?
No.
No. Okay. So the first topic is a review and discussion of the minutes of March 20th, 2025. You should all have in the paperwork you received the minutes from the meeting that included a number of items. A couple have been worked on a bit, I think, and several have not really been worked on. What I envisioned for today, and I don't know that I really did it very well, but I'll hand this out anyway for your thoughts and suggestions, I was thinking of breaking down the board in teams of two, including Dan, and then these topics could be discussed, something along these lines. But when I got to thinking about it, there were several board members that had interests in other areas, so I didn't know how to cross structure such little small working groups. So I kind of built this up. Like I remember, Jim, you were interested in, you had mentioned the lagoon sludge, I believe, as being a concern last year. I don't know. You don't.
Oh, yes. Always a
yes.
concern.
And the budget structure, which some work's been done. But my thought was to sort of break it up, have some discussion among the three people. And I was also thinking in terms of, the chief gets called away, so he might show up late or not at all if there's some emergency. But the idea was to then come back together and talk about it, and in other words, to decide whether there's any further action and what it should look like, whether we just close that item because we don't think there's anything we can do or should do with it, or any other options. The idea being that when you broke up into the two groups, I brought some butcher paper here. You could put down any thoughts you have, kill this item. Let's go with it. Let's do some details, more details for that item. So your thoughts on proceeding somewhere along that line, realizing that when we get this done, we would take a break and then launch into the emergency planning aspects, which is a big part of the package after we gone over what we did last year.
So you're envisioning like two workshops, one after the other. So the ways these are set up were each on two issues. So we do two workshops and then the groups come back to the group of as
we can do that too.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, well, I didn't know whether when we get to the emergency, and that's a good idea. We could break up for the emergency planning, come up with some ideas, and then get back together again as a separate part of the afternoon. Say, take our break after we finish this part and then go into the emergency planning.
Okay, I wasn't talking about the routine plan.
Yeah.
I was just getting out the first part.
Any thoughts?
I have one. so you're putting in teams of 3, correct?
That's the way I thought about it.
Okay. So budget structure, what do you define budget structure?
Well, I would assume that that's to discuss the changes that were made and whether everybody is happy with it. I think that's how was the item?
Oh, you mean what's presented to the board by what's in the, you use the word budget structure.
Well, it's,
I structure.
you introduced the problem that the current structure of budget was such, you have to read the paragraph from the notes to tie to that item. So in other words, for example, when you pay expenses and we get insurance reimbursements, we have no way to put the money back to those specific line items. And I think you worked on that extensively with Aaron and the auditor to come up with some changes, which we've been running
You
for.
still can't put it back in the line.
Yeah.
That's illegal to do, but it can go back into the fund. So there isn't anything that we can do there.
Well, but we have changed what the board receives in the way of information regarding how the budget is progressing. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
That's a separate thing from the change you made so that we could account for the insurance money. That was a separate.
So
Thank
the question becomes, this item, as far as a workshop item, do we close it today? Or are we satisfied with what we got? Or,
I see. So it's not actually, okay, I interpreted that you would put Simeon, Jeff, and Jim in charge of structuring
no,
the budget. Without my input, they can't structure the budget.
I understand.
No, I follow now what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, do we need any changes or any suggestions to add to what we currently do?
Yes, I fully understand
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So you kind of, you have to go back and look at the
So it's
paragraph.
presented to the board now, how it's structured, what you receive for information,
Yes,
instead of that big 7-8 page thing we used to have.
and it could very well be after we get back together and discuss it a little bit, we may close the item. Or if somebody has something to add to it based upon the thoughts of the 3-person group.
So I don't object to separating into groups, but as this conversation about the budget illustrates, some of these are things that I don't know if the board members would have much to say to each other on, absent Aaron or.
Well, but are you happy with the product that's been revised, that's being presented? Or is there something to add to it based on history? I mean, you can provide that kind of
He would use the term financial statement or something like that, which would have brought it back to the board package. I just misunderstood.
I'm just using what the minutes were. And there's a paragraph about each one from the minutes.
Yes.
Some are longer than others. Some are, we haven't done very much with them, and probably we may not.
Yeah, John, I'll repeat my point later because I don't think you got it. The notes from the last meeting that you're talking about, budget
Right.
structure, that pertained to the problems with reflecting things like our insurance settlement in the budget. And they were making changes to deal with that. That was a whole different thing than what you're talking about in terms of how the budget is being reported to the board in these. So
But
you're drawing on a different budget structure to a different
Okay.
task.
well, it was just an example
And I mean,
at that
Like,
time.
No, I would now
point in
understand what you're.
like in my
trying to do.
opinion, that's kind of closed just because we have
Okay,
figured out
well
what
then
was
we
done
will close it.
And it was brought to the board,
after,
Yeah,
during
after the
last
audit,
year's
yes.
yeah,
budget.
so it's buttoned up and put
So
to
the
bed.
money can go into that correct fund, so it can be spent, it just can't go into that line item.
Right.
So, and
We
that's.
just need to change that we have a place to put it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I mean, and that was going over with one other, so.
But what I'm saying is that we discussed it. You went to and talked to the auditor. The issue was taken care of. And it was brought back to the board for agreement, correct?
yes. So,
So,
You know, so I'm fine with if we just want to, as a group, talk about each item too. I mean, we don't have to break down into smaller groups. I'm just following sort of the history of workshops I've participated in.
Yeah.
Where there are breakout groups, ideas are developed, and then they come back to the main group, but we don't have to do that at all.
I think it's a good idea because history shows when we were having group discussions, we
go on and on. Right?
we digress and get hung up.
Yeah,
Where smaller
I agree.
groups can keep themselves on track and set a time limit.
Yeah,
I think the time limit idea is necessary.
yeah. So, with that in mind, does this look, I tried to put board members and Dan generally in areas that they were familiar with, but I couldn't put them across different topics to meet all the interests that are there.
So what's your sense of the timeline on how this would work? Because as I see what you're describing, we break up into these small groups. Small groups would discuss their 3 or 4 points,
Yes,
and then we get back together and have a larger group
yes,
conversation.
yes.
So how long for the small groups? How long for the large groups when you want to do a break?
Well, I figure
Or-
the break would occur halfway through the afternoon. So what is that, around 3?
Okay,
So 2 hours, up to 2 hours, it may be less. But that we would break into the small group for at least 45 minutes or so.
okay.
So, which would put us at around 2-ish.
My sense is that might be a little long. How about if we set half hour, but can be extended if the groups want more
Okay.
time? Because I think that's really going to eat into your emergency time if we take that long, because we're going to do it twice, right?
Okay, so
We're going to do that whole process twice.
Right.
so the small group to, let me, what time then, at 2 or 1? It's 1:20 now.
That's at 1:30. Let's break into the first half hour groups.
Okay,
And then do you want to have a group discussion after the first discussion and then go break out again for the second round?
yeah,
Did you want the times documented in the minutes or does it not?
no,
Okay.
that's okay. So small group, 1:30 to 2, and then back together.
And then, set roughly,
2 to 2:30, basically.
and set an hour for the board to discuss, get presentations from all the groups to discuss, and then go back for another half hour to the group discussions, or the small group discussions. For a
Okay,
half hour and then an hour for the next, and by then we're going to be, that's 4 hours
all right.
to,
So,
I'm having a issue with the components and who is assigned to address these components. I mean, what does Simeon, Jeff, and Jim know about lagoon sludge removal?
I can tell you in about a minute, we've set budget lines for it. We're setting money aside. It's coming up in a few years. End of story.
Well, okay.
That's what I know.
well, and
It might be better for Dan to jump back and forth.
So I'm gonna ask this
you're
question.
gonna break down my whole thing. Small groups. That's what you're doing,
I'm a
Dan.
little worried about, because obviously.
What are you worried?
Staff needs to have input so the board understands. Can we address each one of these subjects with a time limit?
the whole group.
The whole group.
It might end up.
Jerry actually made a point that dawned on me after he said it was, we're gonna do this 2 or 3 different times.
Right.
Because I may come back to the large group and say something different, then you gotta break out and you gotta do it again. So I actually like the components that you have written down here. But I think
Well,
if we-
thanks for humoring.
I'm not, they're grouped perfectly. I just don't know that you're gonna get anywhere efficiently by breaking into small groups, because we
Okay.
really are a small.
Okay.
group.
One of the things, sorry, geez, can't believe I never did.
That would be okay too, as long as we do time limits, like set a half hour. And if we need more, then we say, okay, we're gonna extend this one, because some of them are gonna be shorter.
Well, some of them may have to come back and get more information to make it close. And then that would, they take care of that at the next show.
All right,
So and I'll just add to what you're saying. A lot of these, we've already had a certain amount of discussion.
correct.
And so I guess what I think what I'm hearing from you is you want to get it down to where we have 2 or 3 main points. Is that right?
Well, he wants to get closure, on some of these.
First,
Yeah.
either they're closed or they're open, and if they're open, what actions we want to
Changes that need to take place.
occur for the future,
Yeah.
for either another workshop or actions that the district can take to move forward with the item.
But what do you think about if we broke them out with 3 issues, let's say, that we want to work on? Not that we can have a definitive answer for each one.
Sure.
That may only take 15 minutes.
Well, I think some of these we can knock off today and just get them off of them. I really do.
I agree.
So maybe the thing to do here would be to take a first pass at them as a large group. And maybe we can just get rid of some of them.
I put you up a grease board here. And right there.
So they can be put up there.
Well,
So we don't need this.
well,
I was gonna give this to you.
Oh, my handwriting, I have the shakes. Be a sad story.
So my alternate suggestion here
Okay,
would be to just sort of quickly go down the list and see if some of these are ones that we can say, well, that's done. Or here's the status of it. We don't really need to talk about it, but it needs to stay on the agenda. Or this is a thorny one. And the things that remain, things about which we need to have conversations, then maybe we can do small groups on some of those.
okay. Fuzzy.
I think we're all heading in the same direction. Let's go down each one and start a discussion.
Okay.
And see if we can get wrapped up in a relatively short amount of time and move on.
All right,
Or not, and we'll come back to whatever format.
you talk normally. You don't have to whisper.
Oh, I can photocopy it.
I don't know.
now she'll be the one that complains about somebody talking too low where she can't. And then what does she do? She talks too low.
Okay,
Okay,
so we have
Replace
the,
this thing.
I want to add an agenda item, picking on staff.
Picking on stuff.
okay, so we have the minutes from last year. The first one was budget structure, which we discussed a little bit about, which is really what's reported to the board as far as spending is concerned, I think, more than anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just putting down monthly, board. They call it budget, but the
Financial. report.
financial statement. Yeah.
So my sense of this item is that the specific issue that was raised last year has been resolved. And in addition to that, we have restructured financial statements that we're in this third month of using.
I think it's been more than, well, yes, third month of you guys have been approving them.
Yeah.
They've been in there for a little bit longer, but
So my question to the board would be, do you like the way it's presented now, or is there any alterations or changes or additions you would like? And then we can do that as, basically a draft for the next board meeting, not tonight, but.
Yeah.
Is the information in the financial statement that the board looks at more acceptable, other than trying to rotate that one page, which we are working on?
Knew I was going there.
Yeah, other than, yeah. So we can list that,
It works for me.
rotating that. You guys, John, are you guys comfortable with what's
Yes.
presented?
Yeah, I think the first time you didn't you suggest some changes that you
Yeah,
made
and
for the
then
second?
they're there. I like- And this, I think, is the second time we've used the current form of it.
this will be the second time. The changes.
And we have 2 months of them, which is interesting. I always get confused. Oh, that's right, there's 2 months.
Context.
And then I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like that. So other than that, when I'm reading it on my screen at home, I'm kind of,
At the top.
yeah.
That, it doesn't rotate the page for you.
I probably would. I have to figure out.
Yeah.
That's a technical
I do
thing.
that.
I'll show you. Like,
Yeah,
you
okay.
did that and
And then I go to the next page and I have to turn it back. Or I have to turn it 3 times to get it over the right, and it only goes one direction.
Well, I have a suggestion. Often I'll say, okay, I'm looking over this quickly. I looked over it quickly today, but then I'll say, is there anything you want to call to our attention? And maybe if we could make part of the presentation, the financial statement is, if you guys know there's an issue you'd like to call to our attention, kind of add a little note about that in there. So as we're preparing, we see, oh, and there's going to be a little bit of extra, context provided for this. Don't sit and draft up the whole thing. Just items that we'll spend a little extra time on, or items that you'd like to call to our attention, and just use a 2-word description. Don't type up everything you're going to say at the meeting in advance. I'm going to add to your work. But that gives us a heads up. Oh, there's a couple of things that, besides just the normal review here, that we should take a closer look at. Does that make sense to you?
it
No,
does,
it
yeah,
does, no.
yeah.
And that might be a good exercise for you,
Yeah.
and you probably do it anyway. If there's a big ticket item you're probably going to call it to our attention anyway. I just think if you make that a formal part of your preparing for the board meeting, that when you do the financial statement, there's a couple of things that they're probably going to ask about, or things they should ask about. We'll bring them up ourselves.
I would like for the board to review the page that shows your fund balance.
It's still listed as page 8.
Yeah, page 8. So no matter what we do all year, you run month to month. But that tells you what your health is at the end of the previous month. So when I ask for an expenditure, you can look, instead of asking me, do we have money in the bank for that? You can look at it and see if we do. You may just want clarification on which fund it's going to come out of, something.
And you're doing that now,
Right.
Well, yeah, I provide that, yeah.
I mean, page 8.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were suggesting that's another thing you wanted to add.
And
Okay,
and that also helps
He
you.
just wants to make sure we're looking at it.
Well,
Yeah.
I want you to look at it because that's all part of when we're doing the budget, you'll understand where we're at currently.
okay. No, I just meant like especially big
Yeah, we can
Sure.
highlight it or something like
big
that.
items or something. I don't, it's,
Yeah, and the other thing I always look at is where at the end of the year, and does it look like we're about that far through the budget? Percentage wise,
Yeah.
is there anything that looks like we're getting in real deep trouble on?
Mhm. Well, that fluctuates by when people don't, not everybody pays the user fee.
Mhm.
So we may fill out something, we may have amount budgeted, but that doesn't mean we have it in the banks and what's paid.
and there's stuff that is only paid annually, so it'll show 0% of the budget has been spent on it yet.
Yeah.
But, and then all of a sudden 100% will be spent because we
Yeah.
get to that part of the year.
So I've got a question. I don't know whether it's the budget structure or community outreach. Should I go?
Go,
What I'd like to have is a request for a volunteer for being a board, budget person. You know, the community person. Like the community club just put together a website. And the Netarts community group, which is separate, they have their own website. It's new. So I don't have the skill set to put together, you know, an ask online and send it up to these websites. So that's something I'd like to see have happen. That phone call that I inadvertently was a potential budget person.
Okay, so like
So-
you want me to reach out to them and see if they'll post something on their
Yeah.
website
Yeah.
about us needing budget
Yeah,
members?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, is that adding too much to your,
No, I just, no, so what were the names of the entities?
I'll have to get that. I'll have to get that to you.
So we can make that a to-do item.
Yeah.
Sites. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, going back to the financial products. Any other thoughts, comments?
So it sounds to me like we can close this item, this specific item, but that the issue of are the monthly financial reports working is kind of still ongoing because we're new. It still feels to me like we're new in the process.
Well, it's not gonna be speak now or forever shut your mouth.
Right.
Obviously,
But the specific thing that was described here, I think is settled.
yes.
And we're going with the software that we got and
Yeah.
all that.
So it becomes, this item is closed and it is morphed into a new item.
No, it's just closed.
Well, but you seem to think that we need to continue to track or look at
We are,
what's reported.
yeah, we are,
I
we are still, I think, we have a new monthly financial statement. Jerry just made a suggestion. I think we're still refining. We're still saying, does this work for us?
Here's the thing. How long do you want to leave it open? Because I don't want it to be open
Yeah,
till, if we don't have a workshop for a year, I don't want
I
it.
think it's closed as a
Okay.
workshot item.
okay.
Obviously, we're
Not a
always gonna look at our reports. And
Yeah.
if we have issues, we can raise them, but as a
Okay.
workshop item, this is done.
Okay,
Is that all right?
that's fine with me.
So,
Yep, off the agenda.
okay,
The other you do monthly in the
Yeah,
board,
Yeah.
regular board meeting.
okay.
Put this one out of its misery.
okay. All right. Item 5, NOSD components. This was more Dan going over items than it was specific actions that needed to be taken. So I don't know if there's anything to further discuss in that regard, or whether that becomes an item that we close now.
Yeah, I think that was an orientation.
Yeah, that was a really useful session and I was really happy for it. I don't know if there was anything ongoing or any action that was related to this.
Because he does that at every board meeting now,
Item
just
5.
component discussions. I would.
So I think this can, yeah,
Yeah, because this would turn into a living portion of a document. There's
Yeah.
no end to it.
yeah,
So every month could be different.
yeah. So this one, I think we're done with.
So close to this one?
Yeah.
All right. Lagoon sludge removal.
Well, my thing on that is to stay on top of the status of our ponds and to also be up to speed with the current technology that's used to deal with it when it's time to deal with it. So there's
those are
no
separate
big,
components.
so there's no big surprise to the community as well as the board. Because it's-
Budget.
Pardon?
It's gonna cost us.
Yeah, major.
But I think what you're saying, you've got two specific topics, not one. So as far as DEQ, EPA control, what we do in the lagoons, what's allowed in the lagoons, how much is allowed in the lagoons, and how you dispose of it. So, just because there's a new technology out there does not mean EPA or DEQ will allow us to use it.
Well, whichever would be appropriate. I mean,
Right.
to be able to fall within guidelines by the state.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't want to get blindsided, you know, a
No.
year from now, go, how come, you know, the state comes in and says, how come you didn't do this or didn't do that?
Well, they won't do that to us. I mean, it is spelled out in our NPDES permit on these sludge limits.
I know,
And so the timelines, when we fill up one lagoon, when I determine it's full, is actually by a test that we have to run on, a depth test. And once it hits a certain level,
I know,
we have to switch over to the other lagoon.
right.
But that doesn't mean that you're now ready to haul that sludge out. Now that sludge has to sit in there and decay to a certain rate, which could take up to 5 years.
Right. No,
Yeah.
you've done a good job of keeping us up to speed on that information. All I'm saying is that even as the plant has a certain obsolescence that's going on, it's creating some financial, you know, commitments that we have to make. The rules of the game could change
They
on
could,
how we're gonna deal with this.
Why in our capital resource, we have a line item for sludge removal. I know that you don't see it grow every year, but everything else in that line item, there's $500,000 in there, is movable.
So before you go on from that, because that was a question I was gonna ask is, we are building up a fund that will be ready for that when we need to do it.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so I know it doesn't increase, that line item doesn't increase, but you said before, you're kind of sticking it in other places that can then be moved there when we need to, but we can't build too much up in that one line item, because then the auditor would,
well, not the auditor, it's actually USDA that carries your bond loan.
oh, okay.
Okay, and
Auditor then, I mean, what,
well,
USDA,
no, the auditor just make sure that we put it in the budget.
okay, they're the person I was here saying, they're raising hell with this.
So we've talked about this numerous times about keeping the half money in our capital resource. We have to flag that money. Can't just let $500,000 sit, because USDA will come and say, you need to take your bonds from us and go get, which is higher interest rate, and you have to refinance them and you have to use your money for that. Then because USDA doesn't care if you've got sludge you got to haul in 10 years. They don't care about any stuff. So that's why you see on those line items, all that money taken for something. Okay. But any given year that we have to haul, all that money can be budgeted in one line item to remove the sludge.
And that is our, I don't know if I could say it's our plan legally, but that is our plan, right?
Yeah, it's our plan, because we
That's
also have to work.
That's our contingency.
Too. Yeah.
That's our contingency, okay. So that's why, yeah, I agree with him on, we don't want any technological surprises. And related to that, we don't want any financial surprises. We know it's coming and we're being incrementally getting ready for it over time.
And the reason I've been talking about it, Dan, is you had talked a couple of years ago about the fact that technology could change as far as where we're gonna put this stuff, right? So.
Yeah.
If someone to ask me, I couldn't answer that question.
Well, right now, there's 3 different ways to dispose of it. You know, one, they have to have a receiving station that is approved by DEQ and EPA. For land application, do you haul it to East Oregon to drying beds there? Do you haul it to Roseburg, to the sludge processing plant that's approved by DEQ there, which is a little more, well, at this point, I don't know if it's more costly. because that's a shorter distance to truck it.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna really be able to, we need to keep that money in there so that we do have the funds, because right now, I've talked to the engineers, we're estimating by the tons, the dry metric tons that we're estimating will be in there, you're looking close to $300,000 to haul it out. So,
Today,
today, yes,
Today's dollars.
yeah.
And that's just the hauling fee. That's not.
Well,
what
that,
we-
no, that'll be a company you'll bring in with the pumps that will pump it out, and then the trucks that will haul it off.
So
And do we
Her
Do
farm,
we end up paying money to the site where we take it? As
So-
well?
yes, so there's one site right now, I'll give you a quick, Herd Farms has its own trucks, its own pumps, and its own disposal.
All right,
So you would hire one company, they would come in, turn it into a slurry, haul it off in their trucks, and they would take it to Roadburg and then dispose of it, and you would write a check,
right.
all that being done.
So it's not separate. It's one.
No, if we had to haul it, say to a drying bed in eastern Oregon, drying field, then of course you would pay a trucking company separate, you would the land application, owners. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
and it takes a certain type of rig, right? To haul it.
Well, yeah, it'll take a back tanker truck, a big one. Probably gonna haul anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 gallons at a time.
And take a month or two.
It would probably, depends on how much they have to mix the slurry. Now we're gonna get technical. I'm trying not to do that. Yes, it'll depend on how many, we're up. The term is pounds. I'll give it to you in gallons. So is it gonna take 20 truckloads or is it gonna take 15 or 30?
And just so that I
Right.
understand this part of it, at the other side of that, after the pond is empty, do we have predictable repair costs? Like, is the lining still good? Before we can
So
have it be our backup lagoon?
inspection, we'll have to, because we can't inspect it now.
Right,
So we'll inspect it, make sure no trees are trying to grow through and poke hole through the liner. And then we'll have to look at that as a repair cost at that time.
yeah. So we need to have a budget for that process as well.
It'll be in this, it'll be in the same budget category, maybe not off the same line item.
Okay.
So that we already have under emergency repairs or, additions and stuff like that.
And then that becomes the pond that's just sitting there with
Mhm.
ducks on it until this other one fills up.
So it'll just go back and forth, but, I'll tell you right now, if it helps set your minds at ease, once we switch lagoons, Brian and I have to write a report on biosolids handling within 5 years of a haul. So when I let the board know that we are writing DEQ that letter, at that point, you might as well figure a 5-year countdown.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we can't get it out to 6 years, but by our NPDS permit, it's 5 years we have to write the report.
And Ron,
On
how close
biosolids.
are we to that? Are we on schedule, your anticipated point in time at which we're going to have to move the lagoons and switch the?
I think that, where
Is there a projection?
I'm projecting 7 years.
From today.
From right now, 2 more years in this lagoon. If it's filling at the pace that it has been,
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
okay,
It's
So-
okay.
2 years, we'll switch to this side, to the East Lagoon. Then that's gonna sit for 5 years. We'll sit down, we'll write our biosolids handling, procedures to DEQ. They'll review it, they'll approve it. And then at that point, we're gonna start looking at with the engineers where there's an acceptable place to take the sludge. It's not industrial sludge, so there's a positive because it'll be easier to haul out. It'll be easier to get rid of, to find a place to take it. Industrial sludge is a whole other game.
Is this the first time we've had one fill up or have you had to go through this before?
No, that's the first time.
Again, is this roughly
We've
about
never
the
done-
time frame?
We've never done it, so the projection was 7 years on each lagoon to fill them up.
Okay.
We're now at 14 years and we still haven't filled one,
Okay, that's good context. Good.
okay? So
So that's like 32.
Twin Rocks went 30 years before they filled their lagoon. And they only had to empty it because they made the remodel of their treatment plant. So the sludge will tell us when, but the clock starts once we switch off of that lagoon and start on the other lagoon.
You are such
Okay.
a whisperer.
So yes, we need to look now to budget for that or start building that budget up for that. Because you don't want to have to do it in the last year.
Yeah.
And we're doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you said we want to be building that. It's like, no, we are building that.
Yeah.
It's not, okay.
So
So does this need to stay on the agenda? Because it's 7 years out and we know that it's coming. Are we on track and everything's cool?
I like the update.
Okay.
So you
I
have,
don't think it needs to be part of a workshop every time we have a workshop.
you have been updating us.
Yeah. And
just-
you will be updated
So-
in district reports every month. If it starts to come up, you will be notified. So now you kind of know the basic process.
So should we have a, something in writing that describes this process and where we're at and where we're going? Or is it all in Dan's head?
I think
It's in the
district goes
facilities
forward.
plan,
No,
isn't it?
no. It's mentioned in the facility plan on the form. It's actually in your NPDS permit.
Everything
Everything we just, well, not every component.
Well, if
so
you
no.
gave us components,
So the components, the financial part's on us. DEQ does not dictate how
right,
much money you put into your budget. That's what you do by the permit, what it dictates in the permit to do.
but, okay, so the, sludge lagoons were set up on such and such a date, and it's now 12, 14 years into it, and we estimate that they're 60, 70%, or the one lagoon is 60 or 70%,
The one lagoon's about 90% right now.
about 90%. So, but it could have another 7 years.
2 years.
2 years.
I doubt it. No, it won't be 7.
Okay, but I mean,
2 years.
He's talking about where is
But
that
another 5 years
narrative?
before we empty it.
John's asking where is that narrative he just
let
gave
me-
us, where is that laid out?
But I'll do it the way that DEQ permits it to us. It's a biological process. You have to test every so often by our permit. And once you reach the full point, so otherwise when you no longer can maintain a 4-foot water cap, it's full. Okay? You then, by the permit, have to switch over to your other lagoon. Then you start the, I'm gonna call it decay process, where it then thickens and kind of like a septic tank, you know? So there is no exact date. That's why DEQ doesn't issue you an exact date when you have to haul.
Because it gets to a point
Well,
where,
it's a biological process.
right.
Yeah.
But it still has to be haulable.
Yeah. So you still have plenty of years left. I think we have 200,000 or so in that line item now. So I believe we're ahead of the game as far as our planning goes. You're not comfortable with that answer.
well, you've described a number of components. Okay, I'm assuming they're gonna come out with a rowboat again, and they're gonna test the depth over next year, or?
It's in our permit. I don't have the date in my head, but I think it's
27.
yeah, 2027. We have to test the lagoon again.
Okay, so, and then at some point, the lagoon after that, maybe 2 years down the road, it's gonna close, and then it's going into a 5-year cycle of
Well, approximately
sitting. Well,
Process.
how do you determine that?
biological process. So it could wind up being 3 years by the biological process, once it no longer decays down and it hits a level that it won't continue to drop the level. Then we know that we have to haul.
So, and then you'll be dealing with a hauler. Then you'll be dealing with wherever it ends up going, and paying for them, their service.
Right. So
And then, once that's cleaned out, this needs to be inspected, and any repairs done to it.
right. Okay. So
You see,
no,
I'm kind of thinking there's a number of steps in this that's
there's a
kind
number.
of in Dan's head.
No, there's a number of steps. Brian knows the steps as well. So the steps are, it's a biological.
Please don't repeat it.
Okay.
Don't repeat it, because that's not what he's asking you.
Okay,
He's asking if it's all written down somewhere.
Which it is.
yes. it
Well,
is.
wait a minute. DEQ doesn't write this down.
No, when we have to turn in our biosolids handling plan, we have to do that within 5 years of a haul. So put it in perspective. I know Jerry doesn't want me to say it again, but it's a process, okay? I can't tell you how long, if they say 7 years to fill this one, and it took 14 to do that one.
No one's trying to nail you down.
No,
He's not trying to nail you down. He just wonders, for the purpose of the public, for the purpose of new board members, for the purpose of learning, all the stuff that's in your head and all the stuff that's in his head might be written down in kind of a narrative, a summary somewhere that we could have in our
Either a
records.
checklist or a
Yeah.
summary
Yeah.
or
so.
Why not?
a short list, something.
Because I think, John, is that, yes, it's in my head because I make the decision. It's done. But I think that Brian and I could sit down and come up with steps that should be.
It doesn't have to be tied to dates.
Do like
But,
5
okay,
minutes.
as long as you don't try to time me the dates, we
We
can.
have
do
to-
something
take
Yeah.
that you can share with the public,
Yes.
makes sense.
You could just probably 24 months down the road, this could happen as far as
Yeah,
process.
I think you get the idea.
Yeah.
And Brian and I just agreed that it would take less to do it than it's taken to talk about it. So why don't you just go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I think something we could put together.
Okay, so
So I'm gonna get down.
I also gave him a new title. He's the sludge whisperer. Because it's gonna tell him when it's ready.
Well, I've been very careful to say I won't be here for the first lunch call, but I haven't said.
Which is another reason to write it down. Not for his benefit, he knows, but
Well, just so you know, that most of your operators have been here well over 10 years. Okay, so those guys aren't doing this either.
that's just another way of saying it's in their heads. That's fine.
Okay, all right, Uncle, I give in, you're right.
you know, my
So have
buddy,
you ever been
nobody's
part
been
of
through the
any-
entire process, and you have the most knowledge of it.
Well, I've been through the process and used to land apply.
Okay,
So you have been part of a facility that holds sludge at some point.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
3 operators here have.
back before this.
And the
facility
old,
was fixed.
I.
Yeah, we used to haul every month.
Sean's
You're from down there.
Yeah, we used to haul sludge monthly from the old plant.
Because there wasn't much space.
These guys understand the 503 regs. They understand all that, what has to be done.
So as far as this item, do we leave it open pending the product that's written? Or do we close it today?
We can leave it open one more and then we'll get you guys a draft of, to see if it's, because well, we have to write it, if I'm understanding what the board's requesting. So it's understandable by the public as well, by the board.
Yes.
So we can't be overly technical about the biosolids process.
and it may actually be helpful to you. It may surface some things that you thought were covered in your head, but maybe it'll be helpful
You'd
for.
be surprised as well.
Yeah.
I'm constantly impressed by it.
Okay,
I'm afraid
so-
when it's gone.
All right, so
I got all.
Brian and I will work on something for the next meeting and then
Okay,
that could probably be.
is that agreeable to everybody? Jim?
Yes,
Is that
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So it looks like we're just gonna work through items here. As
okay.
opposed to breaking out into little groups. The apprenticeship program. Uh,
So I never approached TBCC at some point in some conversation. I don't even remember the context of it. There was a decision to wait on something, which I don't remember what I was waiting for before I contacted TBCC.
Yeah, I raised it like 3 board meetings in a row and then
So
said, have you talked to him yet? And there was something that, wait,
Something to do with the veterans program.
John was at the sewer caucus at SDAO. Were you there too?
Yeah.
And you heard the report from the other ones, how tough it is to try to get
Oh, absolutely.
new people into the
Yeah.
field. So you've heard it, those guys from all over the state of Oregon, everybody's having the same problem.
Right.
We had a new apprentice online from a woodworker, and he decided he didn't want to work the sewer. So Most of them will migrate to water. They just don't like to.
They just imagine it's cleaner.
So,
So it's still
The
something that we
staffing-
haven't explored. with
just a minute.
I'm sorry.
The staffing right now we're in good shape.
Yes. Actually, in great shape.
So it isn't like when we were
Right,
working on this before,
right.
it was kind of a mandate to get it done because we didn't have. Sorry, Jerry.
No, that's all right. That was my understanding too. But I thought also that this was aimed at the future, a pipeline, creating an apprentice program so someone would be here for
Yeah.
when the next person leaves or something happens.
Well, the other thing I would say, it's my impression that we do a pretty damn good job here. So if someone was to apprentice here, they would be in good shape to work anywhere. Uh, So we would be a great place to train operators.
I think we talked about this before. At the community college, they have truck driving, welding. I forget now what they're calling it.
Right.
Those kind of
Trades.
trades.
Yeah,
I think-
vocational programs.
Yeah. So, at the very least, what we could maybe do is contact the person who does their curriculum development.
So, I mean, the other thing to say here is that there are two programs in the state that have wastewater and water treatment programs. Those programs are available online. It could be that the people that we reach out to shouldn't be TVCC. It should be those programs, and to say, listen, if you have people that need to apprentice somewhere, we have a great place to come. I saw just this morning when I was looking at my district computer that NOSD has an apprenticeship program that I don't know what the details of it are, but there's some kind of grant funds available. And I don't know if that's something that I don't know what the confines are there.
Is it special districts?
Yeah, special district.
Oh, you said NOSD.
Yeah.
Fit in those deals,
Sorry.
remember right now.
No. SDAO. Sorry. SDAO has an apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
With funding of some sort available, and I don't know.
But as you've seen and what you heard at that
Yeah.
sewer caucus, there's a lot of these programs out there. Lynn Benton Community College, Clackamas
Right. Yeah,
College.
those are the two in the state.
Yeah, and they can't even get people in to take those courses.
Yeah.
What's been effective for NOSD is when you have an opening coming up.
Yeah.
Then you advertise that you are hiring a trainee.
Right.
Okay, trainee / operator, whatever.
Right.
So you can leave the window open
Right.
if somebody wants to move to the coast that's already certified. But that's the only program that's ever worked.
Yeah.
I was a preferred worker. Lincoln was a preferred worker.
Yeah.
Okay. We've had others, but there's no guarantee they're going to stay.
Right.
But if usually you hire somebody in your hometown, they're already established and they'll stay, not just come here.
Yeah.
You waste all your time, waste all your money, you train them for a year,
Right.
year and a half, and then they're gone again
Yeah.
to go back home.
That's why I was talking about our local.
Yeah, I don't think TVCC is going to start a wastewater treatment.
They tried.
They
They tried about 5 years ago and they couldn't get enough participants.
There wasn't enough demand for it.
Right.
So I think what I remember from this discussion was that the low-hanging fruit is trying to get a local person that starts a program that would give them a connection to us, and that would increase the odds that they would stay here, and that we are willing to have training positions, and we fund them. And we were going to contact the community college, see if the fact our end of that process could be linked to a beginning end there. And they could advertise it, or it would be some kind of a formal thing where if someone wants to do a program where they know, in addition to the academic side, there is a training or internship actuality, a local job thing, and to see if they were interested in that, if we could build something. And that's what I thought the conversation was going to be with the community college. And I still think it's a good idea.
So I was contacted a few years ago by the community college. You remember in our budget, we had a line item for
Right.
training / operator,
Right.
right? Because we were gonna work with the college to train. I mean, they would reimburse some of it, but they're not gonna cover the full training. So we were going to participate in that. It never took off. After 2 years, the community college dropped it because they couldn't get enough participants. And they advertised heavy for it. They even called all the different cities and districts looking for participants. And it just didn't, it failed, it didn't take off.
Did you tell us this before? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, it's been probably what, 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, okay, that's a longer frame.
No, but
I
the
thought it was
community
2 or 3
college
years ago.
contacted all of us wastewater
Yeah.
facilities and water facilities because they wanted to put something together there and in conjunction with, so they'd have placements for students.
Yeah,
So we put in a line item and we budgeted for that, and that line item stayed empty for 2 years.
So my sense is that TVCC is not going to invent a wastewater program. I think the state is saturated. There's not room for more than the 2 that exist. And since those programs are available online, they serve the entire state.
but don't solve our.
But
The Preferred
local.
worker program is the best in the state because it's the best funded. They can actually incentivize
Yes,
employers to hire people. It's the best setup I've ever seen in 12 years of doing it.
it's my program.
So, and I wasn't just doing it because it works. I'm living proof of it.
I did that in the late 80s. It was a
Yeah.
program I said for foreign workers.
Yeah.
And you went back to them 2 years ago to see, we had that one person and then left.
The person, so when we hired the one that we trained, Lincoln, they brought us 2 more since then, but they don't want to do that kind of work. So it's been a couple of reasons, either because of what the industry is or because of where it's at.
That's a contact that's still there.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
yeah.
that's
I'm
ongoing.
still in contact with the
Okay.
board workers.
So my question here is, since we know what the pathway is, how do we communicate with people who are young people who are coming up, who are thinking, what do I want to do with my life? I like using my hands. I'm a good mechanic. How do we get those people so that we say we have a path line?
So
a path
Tillamook High
line.
School, we work with them to bring people up on tours to come up here to see if this is a pathway they want to go. And that didn't last very long.
Hmm.
University, we know she.
Everybody wants to sit behind a computer desk and, do game programming. So until you get a student.
So I mean,
on that,
the punchline is that this is a pretty secure job and it pays okay.
Yeah. And I think I used to have a job creating service learning projects for the District 9 here. I did it for a couple of years. I got an award, got sent to Washington, D.C. You need somebody at the school that would champion what we're talking about. And that person at the school would know of 1 or 2 or 3 kids in their sophomore year that this is a area that they might be interested in going because there's chemistry involved, there's math involved, there's computer science involved, and hands-on, prevention or whatever.
Pretty cool toys.
And if you grew up in a family of loggers, mill workers, this might be something that you'd be interested in doing. But it takes that,
It's a job that pays well and you can stay.
it takes that teacher or administrator that knows all the kids that, that's because you can't expect the kids to come to you. They're just too young and they're not thinking that far ahead. Oh, I don't know. I mean, we could go on and on this.
No,
Obviously,
Ryan, you were going to say something?
So I do know, I grew up here, went to high school here. The kids here they hear wastewater, they hear sewer, they hear poop. They don't want to deal with it. Yes, half of them work in a dairy. Their families all own dairies and they deal with manure, but there is a persona to human waste versus cow waste. And those kids will tell you that because they'll wear their rubber boots into school. They don't care. It's just a lifestyle. Then you got the kids that do the logging. Their family's been into logging, own logging companies. You got the mill workers. They're not dirty. But
So to put it in perspective,
So you're right about having a negative.
it has
You're
a negative
overcome-
to it.
it's
To
not a
overcome.
negative, but perspective, my last 3 employees
I'm sorry, what was that?
came from the mills.
Okay.
We are doing really well with recruiting people from the lumber mills. Any other walk, we're not doing well.
A lot of the high school kids want to go to PUD. And PUD has an apprenticeship program for high schoolers. I don't know how that works in our industry because you have to be 18 and, you have to have certain vaccines and stuff like that. So you're talking about high school kids, you can't really bring them on.
PUD, the difference is they have a budget in their budget, training, and they have for grants and stuff. I'm not sure that we could sell that to, or justify it to our kids. The extra cost.
Do we, I'm listening very carefully because I think our answer is halfway between some formal program that they couldn't get enough participants in to support and informal, making sure that there is a person, a counselor, job counselor maybe, or a person that teaches a key course that we have a one-on-one relationship with. And we say, hey, we have what we think is a really good, job track for folks if they become aware of what we have to offer. And we'd like to, to recruit you to help us do that, or to urge you or invite you to be on the lookout. Somewhere in between just the happening to know somebody and a formal program that needs enough people to support it. Is there something in the middle where you go sit down, or you guys go sit down with the vocational counselor at the community college and say, we have a problem, people don't know about us, and people that don't know about us, do know about us, don't really have the right idea, it's negative. And we'd like to make sure you've got the right idea about what this involves, the computers, the environmental,
Which I've done
environmental career. Okay,
with our college.
do we,
And they did try to put something together. They really did.
no, I'm saying not putting together a program, but keeping an eye out for that person or a couple of students that I think would really be, or that they do once a year, they do a thing where we're included in their job fair. I don't know if we do any of
Oh, I
that
see where
now,
you go.
so
Not a bad idea.
We can check into this one. No, I like the idea of job fair.
They have a
You know-
career,
You know
they
what
have
you could do? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to finish the thought. We've got this really cool camera that goes down into the pipes, and, it's a cool piece of technology. And if there's any way to demonstrate that at a job fair.
Cool truck.
So actually, perfect example of that, and to show you the lack
Sorry.
of interest in it was the touch-a-truck that we just did, was it a year ago?
The city of Columbus, it's called Touch a Truck.
Okay,
So they bring out all their industrial equipment. They have us bring in all of this devices.
Ours is so
Highest
nice.
tech,
Yeah.
camera system. And, like Brian was about to tell you, they just walk right by that. They go to the fire trucks. They go to the cool armored vehicles that the cops have.
Yeah, we got a SWAT
But-
rig down there.
but,
That was great.
It doesn't matter that you own $200,000-300,000 of sewer inspection equipment. It's all high tech and computerized. Buy it because that's interesting.
what do we pay compared to those people?
So, I
For a
think
trainee versus a fireman first level?
Jeff was here for that.
Yeah, I mean, you got different types of hazards pay and stuff, I think, with fire departments, because it's obviously extremely hazardous walking into a building.
Jeff would have good info on that.
He would have, well, yeah, he'd have the business.
Just for example, though, I mean, $50K a year, just put that over the camera, come play with this camera.
50K a year doesn't get you any interest. We have 50K a year on there.
Okay, I was just talking about what's the entry point into people's interest? Camera is one, new tech, cool tech. Not to solve it here, I don't want to carry the conversation too much further, but we need to be involved in the stuff that's already set up. And we need to have a presentation that gets past you think you know shit, you don't know shit,
Yeah. Maybe that could,
You'll have to write it better than that, though, right?
maybe what we,
It's very funny. Well, no, it's not accurate. Say it inaccurate, refine that.
so
Asterisk.
maybe what we need to do is decide on whether or not we want to pursue a trainee / apprenticeship program or not. I mean,
Well, don't we already know we're willing to carry a trainee position on the budget, right? We've been willing to. So
it just kind of got lost in the shuffle, I think.
we know that much.
Training program, and we budgeted for 750 a year.
Uh-huh.
That's a pretty good guess. The issue with it is everyone I've interviewed want to know which job they're beginning here. And if there isn't, they don't show a lot of enthusiasm to participate. So when we do have a job opening and they know it, we don't have any problem getting training in.
So we're trying to have our future and give us some
Right,
security
right.
by having a bench.
Right.
But they don't want to be on the bench. They want to know they're going to the game.
Your turnover here over the next decade, 20 years is going to be slow. Yeah. I mean, you can't just count me. There'll be a large gap before you have an opening again. You know, there'll be another 20 plus years before the next one retires out.
So the one thing about our job now, when I started, was at the tail end of Dan's generation of this, out turning dogs, stuff like that. But what might spark interest in the newer generations is we are getting more technical, more computerized. The camera van, a lot of people see it, they think it's kind of cool. Now, granted, when you tell them it's sewer, like the touch truck, they don't want to touch it, they don't want to be around it. But having more technology the kids seem to like it more.
Dogs don't like that.
I didn't say more.
So anyway,
Now you could write a video game.
now that the fire chief's here, we can ask him, Jerry, what they do for training.
We're just trying to, we're talking about the internship trainee. There's not really enough interest statewide. It's really hard to get people into the program. I wanted to know if money would do it because I think I have the impression we're pretty well funded here for trainees. And how would we compare to a sexier profession like the fire department? What's your entry level trainee wage? Just looking for points of comparison.
So we don't really have an entry. They have to come in as an intern initially.
So it's part of a school program.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they come in as like a cadet or an intern. That can range from 18 to 30 years old. They get free housing. They get $500 a month stipend. And then we pay for their emergency medical technician class, their firefighter 1, their wildland classes, their water rescue classes. And with that education, if they choose to, then they could go to Portland and easily make $150,000 a year. And if they want to stay with us for a few years, then we'll send them through paramedic school.
Have you assigned a dollar value to that? The value of that training position?
I think
Value of
it comes out to about 4 full-time employees, about 4 full-time FTEs, because with eight resident firefighters and the rotation of that, I have what we call a 4-man engine. So we just had a house fire. I wasn't supposed to be this late, but with that, I had 4 volunteer interns that are getting paid $500 a month. I had 4 people on one fire engine, and then myself, Mark Baker, and Paige on another. So
one trainee who gets the value of the place to live, the stipend, classes. What's that cost per person?
Cost of the district.
Yeah, I'm just trying to compare it to what we spend on training.
Maybe we'll just say 10,000 a year with EMT class and firefighter training and stuff like that. If they go to medic school, it's another 10,000. So their first couple of years is about 10 grand a year.
Okay, so in comparison, you want to be a fireman, you're going to be in this program, and it's maybe 20,000. $500 a month plus room and board plus training. We've got a training program. You start at 50,000. a year. So it doesn't seem to me like we don't have a case to make.
Well, yeah, which do you want to be known as, a fireman or a wastewater operator?
20,000 versus 50,000?
Money, I'm telling you right now, the money does not make that big of a difference. If it's not a field.
I reject
A
that.
lot of people, it's glamorous to be a fireman.
Okay. My nieces and nephews wouldn't look
I
at
think
that
we're
situation.
starting, I hear both sides, and I think we're starting to see, at least my kids are starting to become very worried about the whole AI thing and what's taking over and what's gonna be left for them. And I think jobs like this will be left and will be very good paying jobs. My daughter quit doing what she was doing to go into an electrical journeyman class because they're paying electricians at these data centers like $500 an hour to set up these data centers in Arizona for whatever a data center does. And so she's gonna go pull wire and make probably $300 an hour. And for her, the money, she's looking at that as, I'm gonna be the only one that has a job in 15 years, because if you do anything with a spreadsheet, or no offense, but you and I are screwed, okay? We're done. Sorry. Hey, we've got an intern training program. I think you're really gonna like it. Anything I can do. My wife does 99% of her job using AI now, using ChatGPT and Claude, or so, I don't even know what it is, but she can do her reports and her stuff faster than any of her colleagues, but they don't even know that that stuff exists.
Well,
So
well, my sense is, I'm not driving this, but trying to get to an action item, is it sounds like, first of all, we need a written description of what a trainee has here, including the salary and the kinds of tech that they get to play with, and the job security, the opportunity to do that here rather than have to move to the valley. We need to put that into some kind of a form that we can give to a job counselor at TBCC or other places as an outreach.
High school.
You know, and make sure that the vocational counselors are aware that they have this information, and an invitation for them or any kids that they've got to come, you know, for an on-site visit, you know, and say, and that's our, you know, program, because we're trying to build a bench. We don't have a position right now. We're trying to look 3-5 years from now, and we want the counselors to be aware that it's here.
So you're asking the district to add another line item to their personnel budget for a training, but strictly just a position, not a permanent position, because that usually doesn't come with any type of benefits.
I think, yeah, you have to tell me what's the chicken and what's the egg. I think once we have someone that's interested in it, can we create the position, or do we have to create the position first? Because we're not recruiting to fill the position, but if we have somebody, then the cost of being ready for the future is worth it to us to create that line item.
I have built the district employee staff that if we lose 1 or 2 operators, we can still operate efficiently. And that gives us time to refill those positions, because nothing else is ever worked. No. So if you want to stay, I hate to use this term, top heavy, you're always secure that the district will be operational. Because I think that we're chasing a ghost if we're going to try to chase down people to get them into the industry. We're not the only ones doing it. I mean, you sat in the caucus meeting. So everybody's buying for the same one box. And their problem is the way they run their cities and districts is they run so short-handed all the time. When they lose one, they're devastated.
Do you think it's worth doing that we create that outreach that I just talked about?
I think that we need to do some, I need to do some actual research on it to see what's out there besides preferred worker. The only program I've ever had that worked out well and has always worked out well for the 30 years I've been doing this is the preferred worker program. They've got it down.
And we're doing that now. We're in touch with them
now. But even when I talk to the preferred worker rep, he says there's not enough people coming in the team. And they all want the computer jobs or even repairing office equipment. there's so many other fields that we're kind of low on the totem pole.
So is it worth doing to create a description of what we would like someone that's going to be considering the field to know about us and to make sure that's communicated to the job counselor at community college?
Page
Is
two.
it, do you
Well-
think we're just spinning our wheels there? There's not
Well,
enough likelihood.
we're already on the list for the preferred worker program. So, anytime there's somebody that wants into the field, we're the first ones they call.
Should we close out this?
Yeah, I think that the apprenticeship item goes away. I don't think we're gonna have an apprenticeship program.
I don't think it'll work.
Yeah.
I mean, I will try it again, be a third or fourth time we tried it, but I don't think it's going to, no matter how much outreach you do, your best way to fill your open positions is to get a trainee and basically rob them from the mill, where we robbed the last ones.
So, I mean, to me, at the end of this discussion, I end up thinking that this rolls into part of community outreach and that there's a subset of community outreach, which is outreach to high school and community college and touch a truck, which I didn't even know about till today.
Yeah.
So, sounds like a pretty cool program.
We work with the city of Tacoma for the same thing. Everybody's trying to hire.
Well, I think this item on the agenda arose out of a sense of urgency that's gone away.
Right. We were looking to fill seats.
And not to be in that position again. We're trying to pad our future. So
Right.
we weren't reacting in a panic way every time, but it sounds like that's basically our only option. So, okay.
So I think this one goes away.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
Number one, what is the minimum qualification for somebody to enter your internship program? High school graduate? Is
Actually,
that,
they can be a senior in high school.
okay, so they can enter your program
They have to be,
and that your program guides them through all the courses that they need, guides them through everything that, on the hands-on stuff over a year or two
yes,
or whatever. And at the end of that time, they get a rating,
yes, they get a certificate for,
they get a certificate.
Yeah.
So, but you are doing it, it's not the junior college providing a program.
the junior college has an EMT program, but they charge an exorbitant fee. We can do it for a third of the cost, so we just do it in-house.
Do the unions work with you?
I'm sorry,
Do the unions play in the role of funding it or?
the union? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Um,
you said there's people that become firemen, there's big salaries.
we don't get any support from unions before they go into the biz and for like the internship programs, we don't get
Okay,
anything.
because plumbers do.
Yeah.
And electricians do.
Yeah,
Okay,
our union's a little less effective.
So in other words, what it appears to me is the junior college isn't going to build a program. If a program were to be built, it would be built by the experts in that area, fire department, sanitary district personnel, or whoever. I mean, to just say, hey, you have some high school students who are juniors now who might be interested in becoming sanitary district or sanitary operators, it ain't gonna go anywhere, ever, unless there's like light at the end of the tunnel, like what a level 1 license would be. What is the first level? It's level 1.
Yeah, grade level 1. Yeah.
So, and what needs to be built into the program, whatever it is, to take that high school graduate to a level 1 license,
1
including
year,
1 year,
1 year.
and include what courses there might be at the junior college that are worthwhile and applicable.
You can't use those courses at junior college. They're not accepted by the state here.
Well, I understand that, but by way of gaining some of the background, what kinds of things, courses does DEQ require?
So basically, you have to have 1 year of on-the-job training with an associated, basically a home course that we get out of California. that is accepted by DEQ.
Okay,
Now,
so,
they do accept degrees from like Lynn Benton,
Clackamas.
and Clackamas and stuff like
And
that.
those programs are available online.
Yes,
okay, but those programs that are available online is nothing of the hands-on requirements that would go into a program, correct? I'm assuming. I mean, you can't just take the online course and, oh yeah, I'm gonna write, or I'm gonna take the test for a level 1 license
yes, you can.
with no
But you get what's,
no
you can,
practical.
with no hands-on, you can do all that. You can get what's called a provisional. But you still have to do 1 year on the job before they will actually certify you.
Okay,
And there's a lot of money involved in doing all.
okay, I understand.
We'll spend $10,000 getting a operator certified.
Okay. Well. And
So
we just,
for me, one of the bottom lines here is that we don't have a large pipeline of, like in a fire department, there's a lot of bodies you need in a predictable way. And that's just not true here. We have a solid staff that's not going anywhere. And if we had a trainee come in, we could turn out somebody who's really skilled, but we couldn't say to them, you're going to work for us.
Right.
right,
There are other little districts where you might be able to get a good job.
And that's where we've lost even trainees through workers' comp because they pay well,
Yeah.
you know, and they supply you with everything you need. So, but if there's no job at the end of it, what I have found is that person doesn't want to spend a year and not have something at the end of it.
Yeah.
Meaning a job.
so
Yeah.
Exactly.
what does the person cost the district for their full program? You figure,
20,000, you said, 10 to 20,000.
Yeah,
what was it?
probably 20 grand.
So, and that money comes from where?
From the district, but we budget for that program. Like similar to.
Because you get volunteers out of it. Is that,
Because we don't
how do you
have,
justify that to the public?
because we don't have enough volunteers in the community to provide adequate fire coverage. If we did not have an apprenticeship program, I would have to quadruple our budget to hire full-time firefighters,
Okay,
who most of the time would be during the winter sitting around.
Drinking coffee.
But during the summer would be incredibly busy but then occasionally somebody's house catches on fire and we need to go rescue them and put that out. And we just don't have enough volunteers that are willing to do that. So we're able, we've got a kind of an aging population in both communities. So to find young whippersnappers that are willing to run into a toxic situation, it's easier for our carrot is that we are going to, you're using us as a stepping stone. We are paying you to be a stepping stone that we're going to help you get a job at Portland Fire. So we actually have a partnership with Salem and.
which is something we really can't do because we don't need that many people to be volunteers to be to do tasks ongoing.
Let me ask a different question. If we had a relationship at the end of the line that we could say to a trainee, we can find you a job, it won't be here.
Or it might not be.
It might not be. It might be in some little valley.
Okay, I know where you're going. And the difference between the fire department and the sewer department is they're giving them a skill that was pretty much adaptable to any fire district or they go to. With us, it's almost site specific. So you train somebody, you're training them on this SBR. Okay. The city of Portland may not be running an SBR, and then they have to now spend the money to retrain your training. Now, by the state rules, DEQ, you can go to any wastewater treatment plant in the state of Oregon, no matter what the process is. That's not how the cities look at it. They look at it, okay, you were trained, yes, but you were trained on that. Now I've got to untrain you, try to retrain. And I'll tell you from all the years what I've done, it is harder for us to retrain somebody that's already certified than it is to take somebody fresh and train them the way you want them to do it.
You don't like to adapt.
So that's what we did in the past, was hire only certified operators. Once we got them here, they didn't like the way we ran this plant. They didn't, all I was met with every day, well, here at Yahawks, we did it that way. And so you wind up creating more of an issue and a morale issue with the other operators, because they're trying to train somebody that's already been taught another way. So we have found taking them fresh and training them from new is easier on us. And it makes it more cohesive environment to work in. Right now, we're probably have the most cohesive staff that probably have ever had. But we've trained all of them from scratch here. So
I think we just take this item off the agenda.
but we're set up. I want the board to know this is not a high priority on my list, because if we were to lose an operator tomorrow, this place will function without even really noticing it, because the other guys will fill in, and then we have time to hand
Bring in a person and train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just take this off the list.
So is it the consensus that we just close the item? Yeah,
Consensus to close the item.
Close her now. Shut the door.
Thank you.
so, and that calls for at least a 5 to 10 minute break,
No,
except for the fire chief,
I
who's got to stay here
That's right.
and work through.
I gotta catch up on the lagoon sludge removal.
This cookie's.
I can stop.
Is that cards?
Yeah,
Excuse me,
the guy that
10
has
10
been
minutes,
building that, it's right across.
Take a
the
break.
road.
because it's
Go out of our
Can't push through.
station.
the remodel.